Hi guys, I'm Paul Sullivan and I've been asked by Becky to talk to you guys about digital and how you can use that in today's climate, which is most certainly the most digital life can be at the point. Um, the COVID-19 virus has forced everyone home and out of the workplace, so therefore behaviours have changed, and at least for the next 6 months, the only place a business can be to survive online is in a digital space. So, as I mentioned, my name is Paul Sullivan. I am I'm world-leading digital marketing strategist for work with some of the biggest companies in the world. Nike, Adidas in retail, some of the biggest banks, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and other various big companies or in different industries across a 22-year consulting, marketing and business development roles. I've owned Bias Digital, which is my agency, www.biasdigital.com, for, I think we're coming up for our 6th-year anniversary, so we've been going for a while now. And all of my social is what's your bias. That is because everything we do is done in a certain way, and the way that we help businesses is done in a certain way. So that gives us a bias towards companies that want to invest in technology that will help them amplify their message or manage the lead nurturing that potentially you have to do. And I know that in various industries that's at different scale. So, for example, in retail and fashion, you're going to be far more social media driven. LinkedIn, Snapchat. Sorry, not LinkedIn. What am I going on? Sorry, mix that one up. So Snapchat, Instagram, maybe Facebook, depending on your demographics. But you're going to be in those sorts of areas. Maybe Pinterest is a really good, referring website for traffic. And then, go through to people that are in business, in terms of business services. Maybe they're selling products or services to other businesses, and commonly referred to as B2B. Those guys are definitely wanting to be more on LinkedIn at the moment. I think that, ironically, in a time where everybody's gone more digital, you actually need to be focused more on selling. And what I mean by that is that, you've probably been approached by lots of people through LinkedIn at the moment offering you LinkedIn marketing services. And effectively, they're just repackaging stuff that you've potentially already been doing. Blogging, lead magnets, or, ebooks, webinars, that kind of thing. Stuff that demonstrates your authority to the wider public. And also, you're probably doing some email marketing. Maybe you're using MailChimp or one of the, I don't know, ClickFunnels or something like this, of which none I use, by the way, just to let you know. But just to kind of give you an idea of what you could be doing and how that would potentially help you. So I'll get into that a little bit later. What I really specialize in is inbound marketing. So from like an e-commerce perspective, we're an official Shopify partner, and we are also an official Klaviyo partner, and they are really good integrated together. But Klaviyo, widely in the e-commerce community, is a really good marketing tool. And if anyone is watching this and they've got an e-commerce website and they're not doing any marketing with it, Klaviyo, 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 I think that's it. So if you Google that, I think they've got a freemium version, so you can get in for next to nothing. And then, when you've built up, I think it's like 1,000 or 2,000 contacts, you then maybe pay $15 a month. It's not massive money, but it's most certainly something that you need to be doing. It will also give you insights when you set it up with your Shopify or your WooCommerce e-commerce website on what's going on, who's coming into your website, what audience, and you can plug your social media in and get really in depth on who is actually trying to interact with your business or brand. And I think that this is the time where all the excuses that you've piled on. You know, I'm not a techie. I don't have the money for that, and I don't have the time. Well, you've got nothing but time, and potentially you've got nothing else to spend money on. And if you're going to try and keep your business afloat, you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So for me, excuse me, for me, most certainly, tools like Klaviyo, influencer marketing, all of that sort of stuff for those fashion and online brands is key to your success, more so now than ever. So you really want to double down on things like that. From a B2B perspective, you most certainly now want to spend the most time you can learning about as much as you can do yourself to deliver yourself results. I think it's really easy for small business owners to think that by outsourcing that whole marketing package to an agency like my own, or maybe a freelancer or whichever, that you're actually shifting the blame and ownership to that person. So if you're not selling or you're not reaching your target audience, that it's somehow none of your fault, when actually it's completely your fault. Because if you was paying an employee to do what they were doing, you'd be all over that employee and making sure that, you know, that they understood your values and they got the brand message right and all of those other things that just because you're paying an expert or a professional to do, you're assuming that they are the people that are going to save your bacon. And quite honestly, we're not. The best results we get are when we work really closely with a client. It's not when they just say to us, right, you take over. Because to us, after 6 years, all it sounds like is this person just wants to shift the blame and I don't want to work with them. And I say no a lot. I don't care. There's ways of working out who's really good to work with and who isn't. And I've gone through it so many times. I just operate in a way that I'm trying to get rid of you in the conversation, because I find that if I operate from the perspective of this person potentially isn't someone I want to work with, I'm going to ask you all the questions to find out, you know, what your appetite to risk is, how you prefer your relationships, suss you out from an emotional level. And, you know, there's so many things that build a relationship and how you build trust. And, you know, I most certainly am employed as a service delivery person. So I'm definitely not working for you. And a lot of people say that to me and I just laugh. I don't work for you. In fact, I don't work for you as much as the Uber delivery driver doesn't work for you, or the Amazon bike guy. You know, they don't work for you. They work for a company that provides you a service. And I really hate it when people confuse that, because it just sounds ignorant. And I really hate it when people go down that route. I spend quite a lot of time trying to educate the people that I work with, so that they're not caught out by fancy buzzwords. And quite often, even when I don't work with the people that I've had conversations with, they most certainly leave a conversation with me far more educated around this space than they first thought. And potentially, because I get quite in depth, it just overwhelms them. And that's fine, because quite honestly, most people aren't great at marketing. And actually, not a lot of people are great at sales. And that's an even worse thing to be when you're, you know, a very small company and it's your responsibility. But you know, we can use technology, as I am, to circumvent that. So whilst I know the audience that potentially watch this video are more maybe e-commerce focused, I'm going to talk about the strengths that I know, but I'm going to speak about things fundamentally, whether you're selling business services or accounting or e-commerce. There are basic things. And when I say basic, I don't mean they're basic as in simple. There are fundamental basics you need to have in place to ensure that you can actually learn something from me, but also take something away from this video that you can apply to your business, because that's what I really want you to do. And I'm hopefully logged in on the other screen to my website. And if I'm not, please excuse me, because I just want to log in for the sake of this conversation. And no, so bear with me 1 second. I'll log in and then I'll share my screen, because what I really want to do is show you by example. So you're not just listening to me talk along, because no one really enjoys just sitting there watching other people talk for too long. I know I get bored by it, but most certainly I want to show you how you can learn some of the basics that we do, and we teach this. So this is stuff that we are working with, like enterprise level clients, which means that these could be companies that are in multiple countries, or I work in the US, work in the EU. So I'm just going to share my screen, and hopefully that will give you some insight into what I do, and how some of the basics that I talk about here can help prepare you to kind of really grasp who you should be selling to, and how to understand your client and what you should be doing in order to get into a position of strength, whilst you may feel that you're actually in a position of weakness. So just bear with me. So this is my website, as you can see, biasdigital.com. Bias Digital, that is the name of our company. And on all of our social media, you can find us at What's Your Bias. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook page, Twitter, all of it is at What's Your Bias. So we're really well cemented. And actually, if you typed in what'syourbias.com, you'd probably be redirected back to our website. So we've really made sure that we cover all bases. It's our hashtag, it's our social media handle, and also the name of our company. So when you come to our website, there's services. And right here, the first thing that we talk about are buyer personas. And I know that I touched on ebooks and landing pages earlier, talking about data capture and stuff. And I think that, a certain size business, you really spend a lot of time trying to capture data. And when I say that I want to weed people out and not work with everyone, because that actually fundamentally doesn't work. One of the ways to do it is to potentially give things away. Because there's one of two types of people in this world. There's the person that takes your knowledge and takes that away and applies it to their business, and good luck to them. That is the way of the world. We often try and pick people's brains to try and educate ourselves about how we go around things. And so what I try not to do on my website is put you into a position where you need to give me your information before I'm going to give you anything. So this ebook I wrote is how to increase sales revenue with a persona-based strategy. And as I said, it's easy for you to follow this through and just read. So if you click, it says click to read, and straight away we've got you into a scenario where you don't have to give me your details to find this book. And I do it because I want maybe some of the people in the audience at the moment to be able to download it, but also I don't want people to feel like they're compelled to give me information about themselves that they potentially don't want to do. So this ebook talks about how you can identify who your ideal customer is, and more so understand the psychology behind the buying cycle, and especially where you get more considered purchasing. So, if you're an e-commerce website or you're a retail store, it's not that considered. It's brand, it's fit, color, price range. And most of the time, people don't have to ask someone else if they can buy something, right? So at your level or at your business type, I'm either buying for myself or I'm buying a gift for someone else. And I think that's the simple, long and short of it. So for things less than maybe, I don't know, what do we call? We'll say maybe 150. That could be like a considered buying price. If I'm going to spend £150 on a pair of shoes or a pair of jeans, I have to make sure that this is something that I wanted to do. I used to shop Diesel and G-Star, which are my two favorite brands. I went into Zara for a while, and then I just, they don't fit me well. They're just not the greatest pairs of jeans. Great for everyday wear, but most certainly now I prefer to pay the money for the jeans I like, as opposed to, saying to myself, I can get 4 pairs for the price of 1 or something. So for businesses that are in higher considered buying cycles. So maybe you're selling to another company where you've got to potentially impress a manager and a business owner, or a, you know, a salesperson, or somewhere where there's more than just one person making a decision, or maybe the value of your services are higher. So, you know, it's not going to be you call in, they say yes straight away. They maybe want to think about it. They want to learn a little bit about your company. They're going to check out your website, whether you're on e-commerce or business services, and they are going to take a lot away. We buy with our eyes, our wallet, and our mouth, right? If it tastes good, I'm going to buy it. If it looks good, I'm potentially going to buy it. And if I can afford it, I'm going to buy it. And if you can stick to those 3 rules, you'll find out just how easy it is to sell to people. But you have to understand what triggers them. And I think this is what I've tried to get into this book. I want you to get your head around that there's more to buying and selling than just cost and accessibility. So during this book, which is easy to access, as I say, you just go onto my website and find that. You can definitely look about how to get, you know, past the perception of what your business is, who's in charge of what decision in the buyer's journey, and what's going to confirm their reason to buy, and help you move forward. So this talks about getting the message across, accelerating your lead generation, shortening your sales cycle, which obviously everyone wants to do, how you can differentiate yourself from the competition, but not just on your strap line or your positioning statement, but actually what do you need to know to understand how to differentiate yourself from the competition, who you need to influence and how to reach them. That carries on into, you know, how to get into insights. So data, if you're not using data to drive your business forward, then you're just guessing. And I'm sorry, I don't care how good you are in business or how long you've been in business, that is the most ridiculous thing that you could be doing in today's world. There are so many platforms out there that you can use, from free to 100, 200, 300 pounds a month, that would give you great insight to your business. And, you know, for me, you know, I'm all over my analytics. Look, I've got all my analytics set up. It's free. It's from Google. I want to know what's going on, who's coming into what page, how many people are coming in, how long they're staying, all of that information, because I want to know that the website that I've invested in, or well, I invest a lot more of my time, obviously, and that's an ongoing thing for me. It's not ever a position where you buy a website and no matter what you pay for it, whether you pay £200 or you pay £10,000, the likelihood is the more you pay, the better the service is. And most people don't operate on that. They think that the less they're paid, would have just bought an equal product or service to someone who's paid more, and potentially, like, they might want to ridicule that person and say, oh, I can't believe you spent that much money. But do you know what? You're paying for experience, and you're paying for people that know what they're doing. Anyone now can build you a pretty website. They can engage you in a way that makes you feel that the website that you're buying or you're paid for is great. And so you, as the business owner, decide what you like, and you want it to look how you want it to look, with no consideration to how your potential customer wants it to look. So you should never be building a website for what you consider to be the best, because you don't know. The truth is, you do not know. Unless you've got previous data and you're just rebuilding a website that you potentially had done maybe a year, 2 years ago, you have no clue what to do. You have no clue on how to find these people. And you most certainly don't know what that customer expects when they come to your website and try to buy something for you. And this ebook, it will definitely help you understand a lot more of this than you currently do now. So don't always think cheaper is best. It may be cheaper as fits your budget, but then if you're having to not spend money to work with someone who can help you with data, who can get you set up properly, that can set up the metrics. So even if you haven't got the money to start marketing today, you're collecting the data from the beginning. You know, if anyone watching this has recently bought a website and you haven't got your Google Pixel and your Facebook Pixel and, you know, all these other things on your website that even though you're not marketing today, because you've got those pixels in your website, those platforms are picking up like information about the people that come to your website, which will enable you at some point to capitalize on that, because you'll understand the behavior of the people that come on your website, where they're from, what locations, and all of this helps you come back to the persona, right? So trust me when I tell you that this is some really good insight, believe me. So, you know, one of the things that you'll have to do is interview your persona, you know, buy them lunch, offer them some freebies, maybe a voucher, maybe a free item from your store, maybe a discount on your product or service. You cannot get better information other than why someone did buy from you or why someone didn't. It's all this just concentrating on, yeah, why did you buy from me? Why did you buy from me? Well, that's rubbish, because again, that just serves your ego and it doesn't actually serve purpose. It's great to know why you're winning, but you also need to understand why you're losing, because the idea being is that you start to shut the stable door. You start to understand why people have got the wrong impression of you, maybe have heard a bad rumor, maybe, you know, they don't understand what your position is or your messaging is, or, you know, they think that your website's rubbish. And believe me, design is subjective. So what I might say is bad design, people might say is good design. And I appreciate everyone's commentary, because it's the collective commentary that will help me understand where I need to be. But primarily, I really don't care about myself. I don't design a website from beauty looks first. I actually design it function first. I have to understand what the journey would be for someone who wants to come to that website. I have to understand where I need to get them to go. I need to understand how pages link to other pages, so that if someone misses something on one page, they can get back to somewhere where they should have been in the first place. You know, I'm having a conversation like this with a guy whose website I'm building today. He's very personal about his website, and I keep losing him because the language I use is the website's not for you. It's not about you. It's about your customer. And whilst he doesn't like it because he's very proud and he's got a certain status that he wants to come through, all of that comes through at the end. If your user cannot navigate the website really easy, you lose them, right? And I'm going to be honest with you. Where's my website, right? So coming back here, I'm going to want to take you to my dashboard, because hopefully by now you know that you can go to this website and you can just read that content. It's not there behind give me your email and give me a name. So I hope that you definitely do. I want to open this and see if this gives me the information that I need to talk to you a little bit more about how to understand what you should be doing with your website. Sorry, it's brought me back to my analytics. So for those that don't know, please accept the information I'm sharing. And for those that are watching that do know, you'll either agree or you don't agree, and you know, hats off to you. So one of the things that I want you to look at is this timeline, and this timeline is showing, you know, when and where people have been to my website and for how long, and the number of people per day, etc., etc. And you know, it's great, and that tells me that people come to my website. So something I'm doing is right. Okay. What this isn't giving me is more about how that I'm driving this traffic, right? I know that I've got traffic, and I know that I'm actually winning at the moment, right? I have, so I'm going to break this down. So my website, I'm going to start with bounce rate. And for those of you that don't understand what bounce rate is, it's really key to the success of your website, right? You really ideally would like a bounce rate of 0. I have a bounce rate of 1.09%, which means I am just over 0% bounce rate, which means I fundamentally have used my personas really, really well, and I understand exactly who I need to be attracting to my website, because when they come, they stick. As you can see, the average session duration here, 1 minute 28 seconds, up 35%. Now I know it's up because I've been doing some marketing activity outbound in the background, only talking to the people, well, actually sales activity, I say marketing, it's not. I'm not doing marketing activity when I'm going outbound. I'm actually reaching out and talking to people about buying straight out. I'm not messing around. I'm not trying to wait for someone to read a blog post or like a picture and then try and do that rubbish. In today's world, I'm going directly to the kind of person that can make a decision about whether they can buy my type of product or service. And that's exactly what I'm doing, right? Which is driving them back to my website because they want to check me out, right? So over the last 30 days, I'm 35% up on time, which means a month ago, people were on my website for just under a minute on average. Now it's a minute and a half. So by driving more people of the right buyer type, the right persona to my website, they're staying longer because the content that I'm writing is more interesting for them. And as you can see here, the number of page views by the people visiting is 3,010 pages, right? And that's up 10%. So that's up, what, 310 or 301 more pages than the previous first 30 days, even though, as you can see here, my sessions are down. So my sessions are down 13%, and they're probably down 13% because instead of me being a little more liberal and loose on my approach, you know, that whole cast a net wide and someone will like me approach, which is never going to make anyone's business go anywhere. I've driven down the number of sessions because I've become really, really targeted on the people that I want to speak to. But because of that, I've got 10% increase in page views. I've got a 35% increase in the average time people are spending on my website. And look at that number. They are down 74%. Now, 74% probably brings it down from maybe 5-6% down to 1 or thereabouts, maybe 4 point something percent, which isn't massive at those numbers. But imagine if you were like a recent prospect who I spoke to. They got 5,500 hits a month to their website, which sounds amazing, right? Everyone would like that. But their bounce rate was 77.9%. People bouncing off the website. That's 960 people come onto that website and bounce straight off. They leave immediately because the website has just been rebuilt and things potentially aren't as optimized as they could be, or the information has changed, and therefore when people get onto the website, they're not getting the information they need, and they're like, well, what am I doing here? Ta-da, and I'm gone. And that happens, and that's an international company, London, New York, Australia, Sydney, huge. So they are at the same level as fault as there's people that potentially are a one-man band, two-man band, or whatever. So, you know, hopefully that gives you some idea. But just to cap it all off, to back up what I've said, 93% of the traffic to my website is new, right? So if you imagine, I've just told you I switched on some real aggressive outbound 2 weeks ago when I started working from home. In the last month, I've had 93% traffic come in from new sources, and now we're all at home, so most people are going to be working on laptops or maybe their desktops. I can't see anyone that comes from an office environment not doing that. Google reads those as desktop environments, laptops and PCs, and there you see I've got 88% of that is coming from desktop, 12% mobile, and my top referrer is LinkedIn, whilst the two companies I do most of my business in, United States and United Kingdom, are sending me all my traffic. So you can see that when you start to do the right things, business becomes easier. Am I doing business hand over fist? No. Do you know why? Because I know my average sales cycle is 8 to 12 weeks. I charge a lot of money. I'm not saying I'm unattainable to small businesses, but I charge money that I know that I'm due, because we know as a business the results that we deliver and how we go about doing that. And our results are not just based on month, they're based on year, because you see increases. Most people each year are able to increase the amount that they spend with us for their marketing because they see a return in the bank account. So that was kind of what you want to look for in your website. I've talked a little bit about the value of setting up data so that you can see what's going on. As I said, look, down 72.95% for just over 4% reduction. Even people bouncing straight out, again, it's coming down even further, another 20.23% down. But you know, that's the win for me. I'm happy with where it's going, because one of the things that I was able to do on my website, when I can find it again, let's close that. Maybe not that one. Bear with me. So again, coming back to the website, most people should be blogging, right? I know that my website has a fault on the blog. So if you see it, don't worry about it. I do know it's there. You can see I've been blogging for a while, but it's not picking up some of the pictures. So I need to fix that. But I'm doing it, and I'm doing it regularly. Most companies need to be doing this a minimum of twice a week. And I really don't want to hear, oh, I couldn't write blogs, I don't know what to write about. Well, if you sell your business in a face-to-face scenario, you're obviously talking about the salient points of the business, how it benefits that person, the problems you've solved, all of that stuff. You just need to take down and write it down and make a blog post about it and target it at the audience that you really want to go after, because that's what blogging's about at its core. And no one is probably going to know your business as well as you are. They can know the industry, they can know how you operate, but there's a passion that comes through in your sales pitch that potentially you just don't know how to put down into a blog post. And I've developed a template that actually helps you understand what you should be doing, and helps with keyword research and all this other stuff just for SEO. And I probably haven't got enough time to go through with this, but most certainly feel free to hit me on my website or any of my social channels, or you can call us on 0203 637 4426. It's probably the most simple way. And I can take you through your own business on a case-by-case basis. But you really, really, really do need to start thinking about, what does my digital business look like for the next 6 months? You know, the General Medical Council have come out and said, you know, we need you to understand that even if the crisis is over, they want to phase us back into work. It's not going to be an en masse, everyone could just go back to work, because other countries have tried it and then the disease has come back. So don't be confused. Don't feel like, oh, it's going to be over by Easter. You're deluded. So please don't go down the road of that and the conspiracy theories. Just understand you need to start thinking about, how do I build my business in a digital fashion? And believe me, I work with some of the most boring industries, full stop. You know, I work with finance, I work with medical. They're not exciting. I work with technology and property companies. You know, I've done e-commerce, as I said, we're a Shopify partner, but forgetting all of that, as I said in the beginning, there's a basis of what you should be doing, right? Personas will give you so much insight into your business that once you start on that road, all of the other steps are logical. And believe me, it's every business we work with has to do a persona workshop. We have to build out that framework of what the ideal customer looks like and how we are going to use and develop a strategy to attract those people into your funnel. And, you know, I think the other things that I should probably talk about before I wrap up is that it's never going to happen overnight. And if you're going to get frustrated after, if you're going to get frustrated after 2 or 3 months, then don't run a business. You know, maybe partner up with someone who's more astute than you, or has got more patience, because it's not going to happen overnight, right? There are loads of things that you can do in addition to maybe not having the experience of marketing that you can do to market your business. Podcasting, right? Anchor.fm, you know, anchor like a ship's anchor, anchor.fm. It's a free app on your phone. You can literally just start podcasting. You have a wealth of experience about what it is you do. And maybe if you're not going to podcast about what it is you do, but how what you do is beneficial, or maybe just your passion around that, what you'll do is you'll start to build followers. And once you've got a once you start doing it, you can just interview people. Believe me, people love to be given a platform to talk about themselves. So if you can find people within your industry or industry leaders and say, would you like to appear on my podcast? We're only just starting, but we'd love to have you on. You'd be surprised how many people say yes, right? So play to people's ego and use that to your advantage. Try and amass 20, 25 interviews, release one a week. In between that, maybe have your own session where you're talking about some of the stuff that you find interesting, or tie interviews around themes about things that you're doing, and therefore you'll be able to produce your piece of content and follow it up by a relevant interview, and so on and so forth. And you can build patterns, because patterns make it easy. I have some Google Docs that I'm happy to share on helping you brainstorm your blog posts and what you should look for and how to understand what it is you should do for those more challenged. As I say, biasdigital.com to access a lot of our content for free. A lot of that content is in that style where you can just click on it and read it, and it's in like a PDF viewer, and you can just decide whether you've got that patience. But believe me, there are going to be winners and losers, and my closing statement is either go big or just stay at home and don't bother. And thanks for listening. I hope you did get some insight. I do wish you all success, and I hope you stay healthy and stay safe. And if any of you want to find me, as I said, any of our social media channels are at What's Your Bias, biasdigital.com, or as I said, 0203 637 4426, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks a lot.